brother? What's up?
This is a groovy party, man.
Yeah,
I
brother,
can
like,
dig it.
solid, right on.
Hey, man, what's your name?
Good morning and welcome to the Earl Ingram Show. As always, you can join us at 844-967-2789. That's 844-967-2789. You can text us at that same number. Good morning to you, Calvin. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. It's going to be a beautiful day, and it's Friday, so doing good.
Yeah, man, it is. It is a beautiful day, and it is Friday. That means Fridays with my co-host, Sandy Williams. Good morning to you, Sandy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. This has been a series of beautiful days. I mean, ever since the Republican, the RNC was here, we've had a string of weather that you can't beat.
No, ideal.
Ideal. This is Wisconsin. Wisconsin at its best, and there's a lot of people here now to witness it.
Sandy, before we get into the show and all of those things, I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the beauty of Milwaukee, and for those who have not spent much time in the city of Milwaukee, within this listening audience, if you get a chance, you really should come and take a look at what has become really a jewel.
Yeah, summer in the city.
Yeah,
Milwaukee is fantastic, and summers in Milwaukee are spectacular, and Milwaukee takes advantage of it. Starting with Summerfest, there's a string of activities that are kind of unbelievable in terms of the numbers of people. Right now, ongoing, up in Oshkosh, there's the EAAA, which draws, I guess, 600,000+ people to it. And then in Milwaukee, we've got, you mentioned that Harley Fest has already begun. We just finished with thousands of NML employees here in town for the Roots and Wings event that they have. So we've got lots going on. The Air Festival that is kind of an adjunct in Milwaukee to the EAAA up in Oshkosh. Hundreds of thousands of people here. Paris thinks they've got it going with their Olympics, but I think Milwaukee has it going every year.
Well, Sandy, you've traveled around the world, and the Milwaukee is beautiful. I mean,
there really isn't. There's no city. You can go to any city in the United States and all around the country. All around the world. There are no cities really that have anything like our lakefront right downtown. The way we're developed more like a European city than Chicago is an American city, high rises everywhere, density. Right. But Milwaukee's a little more like Boston. Boston's a lot more like the European cities, not high rises, but and we're becoming more and more European as more and more people are moving downtown, people living and working together in the city. I saw that there's a new project in store, which is a high-rise, I guess, a 55-story building that they're talking about building next to the Marcus Theater. But they're talking about getting Milwaukee to having 1 million residents, and most of the growth will be occurring in the immediate downtown area with residential growth booming. And so, it's quite a city. It really is. It's beautiful. And when the weather's this great, everything's beautiful.
That new project is... So mostly wood. Explain to me how, and it's, this is happening all over the world.
Milwaukee currently has the tallest of the all wood buildings. It was built on Kilbourne, and it's, I think, 16 or 18 stories tall. Yeah, this compressed treated wood, it just looks like a big wood beam, but it's stronger than steel, less likely to burn or at least less likely to fail in a fire. It's actually kind of perfect building material. And when you use it, you can leave the walls bare because it creates the effect of like a post and beam house, right? The beam itself is part of the architectural beauty of the interior when you leave it exposed. So it's got a lot of sex appeal in terms of being used as a construction And 55 stories of it would be by far the tallest in the world. It would be a real breakthrough.
Well, and it's just looking at the design, it's absolutely beautiful.
Well, it's an exciting project. I think the mayor should be congratulated, he and his Department of Development, for being part of the process that might make that possible. I think it still has to go through
Hurdles.
hurdles.
Right.
Like we talked about the Couture, this new high-rise apartment that's built at the lakefront. That took 8 years, I think, of process to get there. This one looks like it might be much faster.
This weekend, Harley Fest, they're talking 400,000 people in Milwaukee over this weekend with Harley Fest and the Air and Water Show on the lake. Have you ever seen that one?
Oh, yeah. Well, I've seen it, and my dogs are terrified by it. Well, they have been in the past. Yeah, it's something else. And in fact, I just read that the EAAA and this air show end up being a much bigger recruiting tool for the military than the Super Bowl, which I guess is their other huge recruiting device. So I'm not sure how much I'm in favor of all that process, but the shows themselves are spectacular.
Yeah, they're really impressive. To have the major ships that you can see. You don't get to see often. It is a lake, right? It is Lake Michigan. It certainly has the capacity to take on the major ships and the size of those ships. We don't get to see them much because they don't come that close to Milwaukee. But in this instance, all of it is top notch.
Yeah. No, it's it's exciting. Yes, like I said, summer in the city. In fact, I think I picked that as one of the songs we're going to have today.
Yeah. Let's go to Tom from L.A. Hey, good morning to you, Tom. You say what?
Hey, guys. I don't mean to jump right into it, but good Friday morning to you. Sandy, I have 2 questions for you, and I just thought maybe you could ponder on them or you could riff on them. One, do you think that our corporate media is so much into this both sideism and the stocks fair and balanced news thing that they really don't know how to cover a possible end of our democracy without doing the both sidesism thing? That's my one question. And my second question, can you explain to we the people, we the listeners, how in this country we really only do have a binary choice because we don't have ranked choice voting, and we really don't have that we have to choose either a Kamala Harris or a Donald Trump, and that we really don't have time to mess around, not because we don't believe in other perspectives, but that we really don't have time for the sake of our democracy to be messing around with voting for a third party.
So Tom, Sandy's going to respond, but as we were talking about something different, and when you change the topic and the flow of the way we've got the show lined up, it kind of changes things. But Sandy, you want to respond?
Well, sure. First of all, the media, I think the media is a complex thing, and I think the media in the current world with social media and the financial pressures they're under has more difficulty presenting totally unbiased and news that is based on its own content rather than a process. I think that I'm not sure that the media is trying to be balanced. I think what the media is concerned about its bottom line. And there are some media which have demonstrated that their bottom line is enhanced by being definitely unbalanced, right? So we have MSNBC on the left, we have Fox News on the right, and they are making no effort to weigh things between. But lots of the media is worried about its access to the candidates. Lots of the media is worried about the costs they have. Much of the media is dependent on press releases and doesn't do its own independent research because they don't have big staff. So, it's a complex process. But we definitely need at least analysts, news analysts, who will look at things and look at them objectively and identify problems without necessarily couching it with moderation where moderation isn't appropriate. So I see the point you're making, and I think that, for instance, we've had trouble the media's had trouble making a simple case out of the insurrection and the unwillingness of candidates to say that they'll abide by a vote. That strikes me as something that we've been too tolerant to have simply discussed without having judgments being applied to the discussion.
Yeah, ranked choice voting.
Yeah, and ranked choice voting, without ranked choice voting, you're right.
So what is ranked choice voting?
Well, ranked choice voting is a system that's almost like a bidding process. You vote for 3, 4, 5 candidates. You rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the candidates win not necessarily on who gets the most first votes, but who gets the most top votes. Right. So if one candidate got all the second place votes, they might actually come out on top because they got more ranked votes than the other candidates, even though some of the candidates got first votes and fifth votes, right? So it puts more credit into the parties that might have interest to the public, but not necessarily top tier. It would probably drive candidates toward the center in terms of the ones that would win.
So ranked choice voting is not something.
It's being done in some places.
Yeah,
I think there are. California, Tom can correct me, but I think that it's being done there. It's being done in some other jurisdictions, and I think it's viewed as an alternative to many parties. You can have ranked choice voting, which will give a voice then to people who are not necessarily the first choice, but are an area of significant interest to many.
All right, 844-967-2789 is the number. It's Friday. It means Fridays with my co-host Sandy Williams and you on the Earl Ingram Show.
You can see what's going on. Yeah, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. I'll tell you what's going on. Right on. Right on.
George Gershwin. Louis Armstrong.
You know, the clarity of that trumpet.
Yeah. And, everyone knows the words, I think. You can just, as soon as the tune comes on, it's summertime
and
living is easy. Good looking.
All right, welcome back to the Earl Ingram Show. As always, you can join us at 844-967-2789. It's 844-967-2789. It's Friday. That means Fridays with my co-host Sandy Williams and you. Sandy, the music.
Summertime. That's what it's all about. The weather's been so spectacular in Milwaukee in the summer. It's a fantastic place, like we were talking about. Lots going on. And, Milwaukee couldn't show off better than it is right now.
All right. Let's go to David from Mequon. Good morning to you, David. You say what?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. I wanted to get back to which you guys were talking earlier, back with the high rises and timber buildings and stuff of that nature. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Earl. So Architectural Digest at the end of June did the 17 most beautiful skylines in the world.
I know Milwaukee was right there.
Yeah.
Made the list.
Yeah, I know.
Number 15.
I know. In the world. In the
yeah.
world.
Yeah.
In the world. In the world. I was flabbergasted.
Well,
Anyway,
I think it must be because of the sort of European quality of the skyline, because it's not, when you think of skylines, I grew up thinking of high rises everywhere, but
Right.
Milwaukee's not that.
No, well, it certainly helps to have, the Calatrava, obviously, the art museum is iconic. That's a very recognizable building. And I would say, some of the new towers that have gone up have give it some, different dynamic.
Yeah. The NML, the NML
at the end
tower.
of the day, and people forget City Hall, when it was constructed, was the tallest building in the world for a few years back in the 19th century.
Right.
And so it's kind of interesting. And just to make a correction with you, Sandy. So the building, the Ascent, which is the timber building, that you're referring to, and Kilburn and Van Buren.
Right.
Actually, that's 25 stories.
Yeah, I didn't know the story. I didn't know the numbers,
tallest,
but I knew it was the tallest. It's the tallest in the world so far. Yeah.
And it's actually, because it has a concrete garage, it's actually the tallest hybrid building as well. Between that. But now, the same developer, it should be pointed out, Gorkman, is doing the Edison Street timber building on Edison Street along the riverfront.
Is it Gockman?
Really a block away from.
Is it Gockman? Because
yes, Gockman, yes.
I thought that
sorry.
it was. I thought the newspaper article said it was a Chicago developer. That's good.
Yeah, actually, for the new tower.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was in conjunction. I'm not sure how that was, but I think you are correct. And now, so that's going to be 32 stories. And now the latest one, I think they're from Madison. They were talking about the 55-story building that you guys are bringing up this morning, which, listen, that shows that there's some creativity, and the Milwaukee is kind of breaking the mold of getting away from the smaller, shorter buildings, which is good. So it's nice. It really is. So I thought I'd throw that in the conversation this morning.
Hey man, thank you very much for the call, man. Thank you for listening as always. Let's go to Marty from Milwaukee. Hey, good morning to you, Marty.
Good morning, Earl. Thank you very much for taking my call. Hey, Earl, I just wanted to mention, you have an innate talent for asking the question that we are thinking about back here at home. And that's a real talent. I remember one other radio announcer that had that talent, and he had about 10 million listeners. So keep up the good work, please.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you.
Talking about Milwaukee, and I appreciate the subject. I know you have a lot of subjects, and you don't get to Milwaukee often, but hey, we got to understand the real Milwaukee. It's beautiful. Could not be better. Should be a city of a million. Should be a welcoming city. Should not be a racist city. Should not be an unjust city. Let's talk about downtown. Who's paying for downtown? Does anybody know? It's the children of Milwaukee not being able to read. It's the little kids in the county parks with no water in the splash pads. City doesn't have money for potholes, streetlights, alleys, anything. But downtown is beautiful, babe. And you know what? You just mentioned the timber building that's going up on the river. I went to that meeting where the developer was there getting the okay. This was about 4 years ago, and our mayor was then an alderman. He was a commissioner on the redevelopment authority, and I asked the gentleman, are you going to have any black men on your job? He said, no, this is a private project. And the mayor, then alderman, did not say boo. I asked the same question at 333 North Water. Big old $175 million job. Please, somebody, was there one black man on that project? I saw one beautiful 4'11" woman, a black woman on that project, but she was a safety coordinator. And when somebody got hurt, it was her neck that was on the line. That's the way they play the game. So the only black person on the project that I saw over numerous times going down there is the person that's going to get her head chopped off. How about Summerfest? Greatest festival, city of festivals without black people. It's a joke.
So Marty, I will not, how can I disagree with anything that you've said, because I know the statistics as well as the statistics of blacks who live in the city of Milwaukee being in the worst condition of blacks in cities all over the nation. Milwaukee has that distinction. And I don't care what the statistic is. Look it up. Milwaukee is either first or fifth or seventh. And it is totally unacceptable. It has been for a long, long time. And so but you can look at that, and that's happening in cities all over this nation. Milwaukee is not alone in that. And it is an embarrassment, to the cities and to this nation.
But let me say, development of the downtown shouldn't be mutually exclusive to solving the problems of race. And I would say the Bucks project was one in which it was solved. They did a very good job.
So, Sandy, we're going to touch base with it on the other side. Marty, thank you. 844-967-2789 is the number. You're tuned in to the Earl Ingram Show. It's Friday. That means Fridays with my co-host, Sandy Williams, and you. Bob Marley was unique, right?
He was unique. And his music all sounds like sunshine, and most of it's about sunshine. Well, sunshine and ganja, but yeah.
All right, welcome back to a Friday edition of the Earl Ingram Show. That means Fridays with my co-host, Sandy Williams, and you. And you just said the choice of the music and why.
Yeah, it's all about the weather we've been having and celebrating summer. There's no place better to celebrate summer than Wisconsin and sometimes Milwaukee. Most of the time Milwaukee, but all of Wisconsin is unbeatable in the summer.
Sandy, Marty, who was a caller before we went to the break, wanted to put in perspective as we were talking about the city of Milwaukee and the development and its growth, and the fact that blacks in the city of Milwaukee have been left behind. And I can't argue with Marty on that because, I'm a guy who fights, every day of my life in the city.
It's a sorry thing. The fact that Milwaukee ranks so highly as in terms of the level of segregation we have, that's sort of not a loft. That's not a goal we have to be a leader in that, but unfortunately we're there. But
the state does as well.
Yeah, but the fact is that the city does have to get better tax base. It has to get more revenue flowing into its coffers so that it can deal with its problems. I do have a sense that possibly trades jobs are becoming more available to the black community, and that the numbers of tradesmen might be increasing. There were projects that were handled very well in that regard. The Bucks project, like I mentioned before the break, was very well handled, and they put standards in place to make sure that the tradesman on the job, as well as the way the whole thing is played out after its completion, has included the right kind of the profile for the people who have the jobs. And that can be done for the rest of these projects as well. Like I said, we can't make the development of the city of Milwaukee mutually exclusive to the solution of the problem of racism. They have to go hand in hand because Milwaukee needs a better tax base. That's one of its big problems, actually. It's one of the problems reasons that it can't necessarily deal well with the situations that it has to deal with.
Well, and I think that, Milwaukee doesn't stand alone in its issues with race and racism. It's a national.
It's a national trend, and it's a trend it's interesting. The trend kind of goes across north of the Mason-Dixon line, more so than maybe in the south. But there's plenty of cities. Milwaukee is in a tight cluster in terms of its ranking, in a tight cluster of numerous cities that have the same issue, and it's a sorry issue that needs to get solved.
So, Sandy, I want to get to a subject that was in today's National Review, and it is talking about does capitalism need to be altered? The capitalism that we know, when we talk about the struggles that the middle class and people who struggle in this society are facing, and at the same time, we're watching the wealth gap continue to expand and grow inordinately. Is it possible to alter capitalism to make it palatable to everybody? There was a time when capitalism did open the door for everybody.
Well,
in my lifetime.
Yeah, it was during the post-World War II period, 50s and 60s, and that really had to do with the accident, I think, of the United States being the entire world economy in a way. And unions were welcomed into industry because the wage level wasn't going to be prohibitive with competition because all of the competitors were living in the same wage environment, before the sort of globalization of the world economy. No one's going to thinks about getting rid of capitalism as the way that private enterprise is operated. Even the countries that started out with communism, like China, have morphed in the direction of capitalism as the way to make sure that decisions get made with respect to private endeavors in an efficient way that is an efficient allocation of what gets done, what gets made, how much it's priced at, what it looks like, what the market wants. But on the other hand, America has a system of capitalism that is quite a bit more raw, let's put it that way, than most of the rest of the world. Most of the rest of the world has built a safety net for the workers, a safety net that includes health care, free health care, education, free education, where you can pursue education of any kind for as long as you qualify for it, child daycare, some of the things that are really burdening Tom, Dick, and Mary's middle-class budget right now. And what's happened is we've shifted to businesses the obligation to either provide these benefits or to avoid providing these benefits. So a great deal of our country who works on an hourly wage basis have had their schedules for work set up in such a manner that they don't get health care benefits at work and are then left to buy it for themselves. And this is a change from what existed when you and I got into the workforce, because that back then when you got in the workforce, your employer simply provided you with health care coverage. It was probably Blue Cross Blue Shield, this broad kind of health benefit program, and that's gone. So, yes, I think we need to look at the architecture of our particular version of capitalism and start thinking about the ways in which we could set it up in a manner that would better support capitalism by providing workers with what they need. Because really what's happening now, what's sucking the vitality out of our version of capitalism, is that it's not supporting the middle class, and our middle class is on a downward spiral with respect to its status, its relative status, and its capacity to keep its head above water with respect to the budgets. A middle class family today has two breadwinners. A middle class family in 1970 had one. That's a significant change in the lifestyle of the middle class family, and the middle class family, the median family in the United States and in Wisconsin, we've gone through the budget a bunch of times, can't make it, but they could make it if they weren't responsible for buying their own health care, if they weren't responsible for paying back student loans or otherwise saving for expensive education. They could make it if their retirement was safe, okay? They could make it if they had child daycare. If all of those things were off of their budget, they'd be doing just fine.
But Sandy, there are reasons that people will state as to why it's changed, and they'll say it's not capitalism anymore; it's corporatism, and so the corporations are the ones who are setting the standard.
I think what's happened is, quite frankly, that the thing that some of our callers lament about most often, and that is that we've got corporations, businesses, who have so much influence in government that our government is no longer responsive to the problem of Tom, Dick, and Mary, but they're responsive to the corporation. So, the government cooperated in setting up the 401 retirement programs as a way to shed from the businesses the obligation to fund pensions that they had earlier shouldered themselves. It's the government that cooperated with a healthcare system that shifted healthcare benefits off of the roles of the businesses and onto the shoulders of the workers. And so, Adam Smith in his Wealth of Nations long ago, the father of economics, warned about the notion that businesses would have control of government policies because he knew that it was important that government be in a position to independently exercise its discretion to properly regulate businesses in the areas of antitrust to make sure that markets worked, but in the other areas that involve safety and external effects of businesses, like on the environment. And so, I think that unfortunately we've kind of created the perfect storm in the United States that has caused our form of capitalism to shift inexorably in the wrong direction, away from being responsive to the marketplace and to being able to support the middle class as it should.
So how much of it is this, Sandy? The fundamental differences between left-wing and right-wing ideologies center around the rights of individuals versus the power of the government. Left-wing beliefs are liberal in that they believe society is best served with an expanded role for government. People on the right believe that the best outcome for society is achieved with individual rights and civil liberties are paramount, and the role and especially the power of government is minimized. Examples of an expanded role for government include entitlement programs such as Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, universal health care, food stamps, free public education, unemployment benefits, strong environmental laws, and other regulations on industries. Right-wing ideology would favor market-based solutions to the issues that these government programs aim to tackle. For example, encouraging a free marketplace for health care driven by consumer choice to drive down costs, or privately held retirement accounts like 401k plans instead of government guaranteed Social Security. So, Sandy, the question I'm asking you is, this transformation, this change that we've seen has really been ushered in by right-wing policies.
Well, I think that's an artificial difference, and I think that really what's happened is that it's not a right-wing ideological drive, but it's been more of a corporate drive. Corporations have wanted to shed the obligation to have pensions. They had set up defined benefit pension plans over a long period of time, and when the population shift began to occur and the demographics shifted to a more elderly population beginning in the 90s, it became a burden that they wanted to avoid. Okay, so they went to the government and in conjunction with the government were able to set up the 401c3 concept of private funding of pensions. Really, you would think that conservatives, those who are interested in successful business and marketplaces, would want to make sure that government policies were designed to assure effective marketplaces. Adam Smith was all about libertarian kind of view, keep the government out of what it doesn't belong in, but make sure the government is involved where it should be involved, which is in making sure that marketplaces work, making sure that that externalities, things that can't be controlled by the market, are properly controlled by the government. So roads should be built by the government, he thought. He said that basically things like environmental impacts would be controlled by the government. And there are things that necessarily need to be done by the government in order to support a vibrant workplace. And I'm simply saying that by getting privatization to the point where the government backs off from doing all the things necessary to properly support the workers, they will kill the golden goose. We're on a path right now where capitalism is not providing what's necessary for the middle class, and our middle class is dwindling. And a dwindling middle class will kill the golden goose.
So you and I saw that transformation. We saw that change in our lifetimes. We saw something occur that switched it from what was working and favored the corporation over the citizenry. And so at the root of that, who created that change? We know why, because it certainly benefits the corporation and the bottom line investors.
I think there are two factors: demographic shift and globalization.
All right, 844-967-2789. Hang on the phone line, guys. We'll come right to you. It's Friday. That means Fridays with my co-host Sandy Williams and you on the Earl Ingram Show.
I love the colorful clothes she wears, and she's already working on my brain. I only look in her eyes, but I picked up something I just can't explain. And I'm picking up good vibrations.
All right, we know who that is, the Beach Boys. Welcome back to the Earl Ingram Show. As always, you can join us at 844-967-2789. Text us at that same number. Sandy, the music?
Yeah, every day was a summer day with the Beach Boys, right? They were.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were. The music's all about the weather and the summer, the great summer we have.
All right, so we were talking about before the break about, is it time, to look at capitalism in a different light? Is it working? Let's go to Mike from Kenosha. Good morning to you, Mike. You say what?
First of all, I'm thoroughly enjoying this beautiful Friday along the lake here in Wisconsin. No better place to be in summer.
Yeah, you're right.
Capitalism. I think some prefixes need to be put in front of the word, like sustainable or local or healthy, or the other side, vulture, unfettered, deregulated, because it is very complex. And it's come to the point now, we're talking about privatization of healthcare and education years ago. They wanted to make more money. Now, war, elections are all monetized. They're all profit centers. There's mechanisms and investments you can invest in for propaganda. It's clear to me that capitalism, without it being regulated, it can be turned very, very quickly, and that capitalism can turn into a cancer. And I think that's where we're kind of trending, in my opinion. I'd like to follow up with that, but I want to get your opinion on that first.
Well, let me say that the one thing you said that really struck a chord with me is the notion of a prefix. What we need in the United States is sustainable capitalism. And the problem is that the trajectory of our current system isn't good because of the social impacts that are occurring. And I would say that the social impacts are occurring because of a failure of government to properly support capitalism. And by properly support, I mean properly regulate, properly tax to create the revenues necessary to support the government conduct, to properly regulate the marketplace to make sure that there's competition in the marketplaces. Adam Smith, I think, would be rolling over in his grave at the current version of capitalism we have, because we seem to have turned things on its head, and we talk about privatizing things or eliminating kinds of regulation that really only the government is capable of doing. And sometimes the privatization thrust is normally done because of a notion that the private marketplaces will do a better, cheaper job. But if the private marketplace isn't properly regulated, if the privatization isn't properly policed in terms of the way the bidding is done to carry out the privatization, it doesn't get cheaper. It just shifts profits and maybe diminishes the quality of the services. And we've seen that happen in a number of privatizations that have gone on around the country where, for instance, municipalities have privatized things, lost their revenue stream, and lost control over the services as well.
But privatization could not occur or happen unless elected officials made it possible.
Yeah, and that's my point about Adam Smith worrying about government being in a position to be controlled by the businesses that are to be regulated by the government. So we're not doing that anymore. The industries that are regulated have a great deal of input into how they are regulated, okay, which is not a good thing.
Mike?
Yeah, I think people want to know how to do it. The problem is they don't know how to do it. By removing civics way back in the Reagan administration, I think it was a big fundamental. You're pulling the legs out from a democracy, for crying out loud. This idea of serving capitalism to the extent where we allow war and propaganda, and we allow our elections to be dominated by capitalism. No. We have to learn how to conduct civics, learn how to organize, and get involved and recognize that there are fixes right at our fingertips if we just knew it. And I think that's the first responsibility in school. Teach people how to protest and do it correctly and be effective at it. Learn about organization and how talk about so many cases of one person or a handful of people making a difference. We can do all this stuff if we embrace people power.
Hey, Mike, thank you very much for the call. Let's go to Al.
Let me just quickly, one example and it's an example where the people with money actually agree to the regulation. Our financial markets are heavily regulated by the government. Our financial markets are the most trusted financial markets in the world. Our financial markets are a large reason why the dollar is the reserve currency for most countries around the world. And it's all because regulation by the government policing our financial markets has made them trustworthy, okay? That should be an example to the people with money of how it is that government needs to interrelate to the businesses they have. And I think there are people out there who are wealthy capitalists who understand that sustainable capitalism goes hand in hand with a properly operating government that properly regulates the businesses that they're involved with.
I can't help but let's see if we get Al in. Hey, Al. Good morning. You say what?
Good morning. I just wanted to touch upon when you were given that laundry list of government programs. Why do people keep throwing Social Security into that? Social Security is not a gimme. It is not something that's taken out of the tax dollars. Social Security, we've been paying all of our working lives. That's our money. It's supposed to be gaining interest and then being repaid back to us as a part of our retirement. But everybody keeps throwing it in that ball as though this is something the government is giving us from tax dollars.
Hey, Al, let me get you to do this. Hit us back on the other side. I'll give you a chance to finish your thought. 844-967-2789 is the number. It's Friday. That means Friday is my co-host Sandy Williams and you on the Earl Ingram Show.